Konnichiwa friends, I hope you are doing great and finding this series useful to learn and understand more about the India's system of governance. So let us take 10 more questions to continue to do that. As always, please keep the copy of the Constitution of India handy for your reference. For best learning, I recommend you pause the video after every question is displayed, then mark your answer in maximum 1 minute, and if need be, open your book as well. Quickly refer to it and then proceed to listen. This will improve your understanding, memory as well as the revision power. You can get all these questions at one place as a quiz and in PDF on the Telegram channel. The link is in the description. You may join the Telegram channel for more quizzes and relevant information. I really hope that you are also following the parallel silent quiz running through the pictures on the slides on the right hand side. And it is, with a lot of effort that it is created to help you learn even more. So please do that. And let's see the first question in this video. Anti-defection law is often in news in India. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the anti-defection law? I'm sure we all know that anti-defection law is in the 10th schedule of the Constitution. And it is applicable to the members of the parliament as well as the state legislature, of course. So let's see the first statement. It says a member of the house belonging to any political party on being expelled by the party shall be disqualified for being a member of the house. It will not happen because on expulsion, the person does not get disqualified. The person has to defect, right? So after expulsion from the party, the member becomes an unattached member. Okay, it's called an unattached member of the party. So they are still in a way kind of a member of the party, and that is why the issue comes up that will the whip apply on these kind of members or not? Though the Supreme Court has not clarified on this issue, but the present understanding is that though the expelled member is not disqualified from the house, they are still under the whip directions of the party for the purposes of anti-defection law. So anyway, this is not a correct statement. So second statement says a member of house who is disqualified like this cannot become a minister even for 6 months unless they become a member of the house again. Now, normally a non-member is allowed to become a minister for maximum 6 months, but in case they are disqualified under anti-defection law, it's a very clear provision that is written in Article 75 Clause 1B. You can read that. I'll recommend you read that because this is actually a major factor behind the whole drama that you have seen in Madhya Pradesh and then before that in Maharashtra also last year. Why resignation of the member becomes an important issue. Because see, in case of resignation being accepted, they can be immediately made a minister, all the defecting persons. While if it is considered as a case of defection by the speaker, then they cannot be made a minister immediately because of this provision here. They can be made a minister only after they become a member of the house. So please be very clear in this. And the third statement says a member of the house disqualified under the law can contest the by-election that is held during the vacancy. Yes, absolutely. This is fine. This is allowed. They can definitely contest the election. There is no prohibition on that. However, it does in a way defeat the whole purpose of anti-defection law, partly at least, not completely though. Anyway, so less than half of you got this correct. Oh well. Anyway, next question we have. Swachh Bharat Mission Rural is a core centrally sponsored scheme of Government of India. The scheme is being coordinated by which of the following ministries? Okay, so this is an area I've realized aspirants give least focus, though it is explicitly mentioned in the syllabus as ministries and departments of the government. Now that does not infer that we should start memorizing all the departments, etc. But as you come across governance and things are shaping through policy, we should be aware, right? So till a year, for example, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or the Swachh Bharat Mission was being implemented by the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation, which is now a department under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, right? So now that's why it is current affairs for you. I'm sure you know this much that it is a new ministry, Ministry of Jal Shakti, right? And this is precisely how one has to prepare current affairs. As I always try to convey, current affairs is not just reading some booklets of coaching institutes. Okay, while we must refer to all that as well, the standard material that one should read, But to answer a question is at least one step more and beyond just reading that. Okay. Anyway, by the way, I really hope that you know what is a centrally sponsored scheme and the core of the core and then the core schemes, right? So all the centrally sponsored schemes are segregated into core of the core and then core schemes, which essentially is the basic philosophy of the government in terms of how they want to project. And then there are some other schemes also. Along with that, other than the centrally sponsored scheme, there is another category of schemes called central sector schemes, right? So if you're not clear, I would recommend you prepare a 50 words short note on both. Please do that. Anyway, the answer for this, we all know, is Jal Shakti. But see the performance, right? Less than 1/3, which is something I hope that such a big scheme the Prime Minister is shouting, everybody should be aware. You should be, definitely. Okay, so the next question we have is which of the following statements are correct regarding the budget presented before Parliament of India in 2020? So the budget that was presented a couple of months ago, 2020 budget, some statements have been given. Let's see. A total of 101 demands for grant are made in the budget for financial year 2020-21. Yes, absolutely correct. In fact, this is a standard number. Earlier, when the railway budget was separate, the number of grants was slightly more. But gradually it has been consolidated together. So presently we have 101 demands. Of course it can change. It's not a number which is fixed. I really didn't want to test you on this, but you should know that it's somewhere there. Then after the appropriation bill has been passed successfully, there is no need of any vote on account to be passed by the Lok Sabha. This is absolutely correct, because why do we need the vote on account? Vote on account is required during the procedural time that is being taken for the appropriation bill. Once it is passed, I don't need to take a vote on account. In fact, this is the whole reason why a couple of years ago the government decided to prepone the budget session. While earlier it used to be the last working day of February, now it is the first week or the last week of January, which gives us enough time to process all this. So the idea being that we should not have vote on account unnecessarily. So there is another video earlier where we have talked about it in detail. So you can refer to that if you want to. Then third one says after the appropriation bill has been passed successfully, there is no need to enact a Finance Act. Now, why would that be? Appropriation bill is actually to appropriate the funds for the schemes and the projects and the expenditure of the government. But to fund that bill, to fund that budget, I still need to earn all my taxes and revenue sources and things like that. So the Finance Act is still required. An Appropriation Act and the Finance Act together form the budget. So the third one is actually wrong, and that there is the party in power presently in Pakistan under the Prime Ministership of Janab Imran Khan Saab. So we go to the next question. Which of the following terms are not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution of India? So the vetoes are given. Now I'm sure we know that the veto power of the President of India is mentioned in Article 111 of the Constitution. Please read that if you have not. At least once you should read the articles that you come across. While various explanations are given that President may withhold assent, President may return for the reconsideration of Parliament, right? Things like that. And since there is no time limit for any of these things, President, we understand, can pocket it. But none of these terms are explicitly written in the Constitution, right? So you'll see that what is not written, all of them, none of them are actually written there. Okay, even though the power exists, but it's not mentioned in the Constitution there. A good number of you did get it right, and I hope you did follow the sequence in terms of how the symbol has evolved for Bharatiya Janata Party there. Okay, so next is which of the following constitute the annual financial statement? And this is precisely what is required under Article 112. The term budget is not used. So annual financial statement is tabled in the Parliament every year. For this, I thought that let me show you what the annual financial statement actually looks like, because I'm sure a lot of you have no sense of it actually. So there we go. This is the, the statement. It's just a snapshot of it. It's not the whole statement. As you can read, Bharat ka samekit nidhi rajasva khata, okay, praptiyan. That means it is the receipts on the revenue account of the Consolidated Fund of India. It's just, there's a lot more to this. It's just a snapshot of the first page. And this is the annual financial statement that was tabled in this year's budget, that is 2020. As you can see, you'll have the budget estimate for the year that we are proposing, that is the next financial year, right now it has become the present financial year, 2021. Then when it was presented at the current financial year's revised estimates, the current financial year's budget estimates, and the last financial year which has been completed, the accounts have been closed, the actuals of that. So actuals, the BE, the RE and the BE that is projected for the next financial year. Okay. So all these actually complete the sense of your the annual financial statement. So please to read that. So actually all of them should be the correct answer here, and that by the way is the party in power presently in the in England under the Prime Ministership of Boris Johnson. Some other very popular prime ministers from the same party were Margaret Thatcher and John Major. So you should know that. And we need to do better on our performance here. Okay. Next question is, which of the following statements are correct regarding the ETPBS? In the very last video, we have talked about this. This is related to the service voters. I hope you did watch the video of the Election Commission. Don't be lazy. These are just 5-6 minutes videos. Do watch them. You learn a lot. Nobody can teach you the way actual sources teach you. Okay. So anyway, if you have done that, it should not have been that difficult. So let's see the statement. It says that it is used to electronically transmit the ballot papers from the returning officer to the eligible voters, while those voters have to print the ballot paper and send it back to the returning officer via post. Well, it just gives you the whole process, and that is obviously a correct statement. And since one is correct, two cannot be correct, because it says it is a complete end-to-end encrypted electronic system. The first statement is correct, and the electronic part, see, it is electronically transmitted, which is the first half. This is how it reaches the voter. Then the postal ballot system, this is the second part. Now the voter has to give the ballot back to the Election Commission. That is the standard postal method. So the second statement is wrong. First ever use of ETPBS, I think I did tell you in the last video also, it was in 2019, and it is for service voters. I told you that. So 1, 3 and 4 should be the correct answer. There is a whole lot of information on the Election Commission's website. So you please read that. And this is the Labour Party's symbols. You can see these other countries, the symbols they have, they are not as much perhaps dramatic as our symbols are, because this is more like a flag and things rather than a symbol. And several prime ministers, like if you remember Clement Attlee, the prime minister when India became independent from British rule, was from the Labour Party. And in more recent times, people like Tony Blair are very popular leaders. Okay, next question is, which of the following is not a significance of the preamble of Constitution of India? Okay, so it says it indicates the source of authority of the Constitution. Absolutely correct statement. The first word itself, we the people of India, right? The source of authority is the people of India. Never be confused. That's the significance of the preamble, that it tells us it is the people of this country who are giving to themselves this Constitution. Okay, it defines the objects of the Constitution that the Constitution seeks to establish and promote. Yeah, that's correct. It talks about all the ideals and aspirations of the people that we have. So it does talk about this. It is regarded as a source of prohibition upon the powers of the legislature. No, this is not a source of prohibition upon the powers of the legislature. And we have discussed earlier also that this was the reason why in the Berubadi Union case of 1960, the Supreme Court in fact did hold that the preamble is not a part of the Constitution, which was overruled later in Keshavananda Bharati, where the court said it is a part of the Constitution, but yet, it's very sorted principle that it is not a source, so it's not a provision which is regulating any rights or obligations of any parties or, organs of the state. So this is actually the one which is wrong, and hence the correct answer for the question, because it's saying not. And then it can be referred to arrive at the true meaning of an article of the Constitution where it is ambiguous. Yes, this we know is because ultimately it's talking about the objects, the real purpose. So if the court also feels the need, they refer to the preamble, and that's why it's also called sometimes as the key to unravel the minds of the constitution makers. What were they thinking to know that? Okay, so we move to the next question, and that is, which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the Central Administrative Tribunal? I'm sure you know that this was created by the Administrative Tribunals Act of 1985, and the first statement says it deals only with the disciplinary matters of public servants. No, not only disciplinary matters. Essentially, it deals with all these service matters. So that means not just disciplinary, that is obviously included, but it's not the only one. It may include even promotions, transfers, recruitment, all that. So this is actually wrong. Second says the procedure prescribed by the Civil Procedure Code of 1908 is not binding. This is correct. I'm sure you all knew that. Most of your tribunals have this kind of a provision, and that's why these tribunals have been created actually. Quasi-judicial bodies. Okay, then the third one says the members of the armed forces are not under jurisdiction, but the members of the paramilitary forces are. Okay, so you should know one thing, that the civilian employees of the armed forces, the defense forces are under the jurisdiction of CAT. Okay, so while we say the members of armed forces are not under its jurisdiction, as a general statement it is correct. I will come with one video later, because I find some people try to put a blanket rule that when a general statement should be correct, when exception should be not considered. No, there is no general rule as such. You have to somewhere catch the spirit of the question, right? That how is the question putting it to you. So anyway, while in the spirit of this question, you have to see that the way it is written, the members of armed forces are not under jurisdiction, yes. But we know that some civilian employees are there. Similarly, officers and servants of the Supreme Court of India, as well as the Secretariat Staff of the Parliament of India, they are also not covered under the CAT. Okay, so they are all out of it. And regarding the paramilitary forces, the way there is, CAT for the civilians and the Armed Forces Tribunal for the armed forces, it is being considered by the government to establish a tribunal for the paramilitary forces, separately. So, anyway, third is a wrong option for us. Applicant is allowed to appear only in person, and lawyers are not allowed to represent the clients. There is no reason to do that at all. Definitely they can bring lawyers, or even somebody else can represent them. So this is also a wrong option. Please make sure you revise other basic details about the CAT also from your books. Okay, and there is the party of Vladimir Putin, and it is currently under the chairmanship of Medvedev, Dmitry Medvedev. So let's go to the next question. Which of the following is correct regarding the Vice President of India? The term of office is 5 years, but they can continue even after the expiry until the successor enters office. A couple of times we have come across questions on Vice President earlier, so I'm going to refer again to you to read Article 67. If you've read that, good. If you can't recall, then go back and read again. This is a correct statement. It is very much written there as it is. And the second says the petition challenging the election of the Vice President is heard by a bench of 5 judges of the Supreme Court of India. Absolutely correct. I know that you may not have known this, and that's the purpose of this quiz also, to somewhere keep telling you some basic, small ideas and thoughts. Not that it's an extraordinary thing. So this is actually in the rules of the court. It has been specified that all such cases will also be taken by 5 judges. Not to really mention it, but even the president's election, petition that challenges that is also taken up by 5 judges. Okay, then after completion of term, Vice President may seek re-election or contest election to the office or shall not. No, there is nothing like that. There is just a garbage provision. I told you, but sometimes people say that due to the sanctity of the office, they should not consider contesting more elections. Bharat Singh Shekhawat, who was the Vice President of India, did contest some elections, and it, many people said that the high office of the Vice President, should not be lowered. Well, anyway, these are open for discussion. There is no such provision in the law or in the constitution. So we go to the last question of this video, and that is, which of the following subscribe an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of India? I thought it's a straightforward question in terms of the simplicity it has, but the performance is actually very pathetic. Sorry to make you feel bad at times, but I mean, you can see it here. Those who got it right, good. See, it just simply, there are just two offices, two officers, two posts who actually take the oath to protect and defend the Constitution of India, and these are nothing but the heads of the executives of the union and state respectively. So if you see Article 60 or Article 159 of the Constitution, that's what the oath is. Everybody else will take the oath of to bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution, right? As the head of the state, right, and as the head of the executive, they take the oath. Most of the times, these two officers or offices don't really do much work on their own. But the real work that is being done by everybody else, ultimately as the head of that entire organ of the institutions that we have, being the head, they take that oath to protect and defend the Constitution of India. Otherwise, everybody has to protect and defend. Even a citizen of this country, you, me, everybody has to defend the Constitution. But they are the ones who take that oath. Alright, so that was the last question, and to end today's video, I thought I will leave you with a new word to learn. I'm sure you've heard of it, gerrymander or gerrymandering, right, when you take the participle form. What it means and how it works with an example, I am going to leave that with you. You can pause and look at it carefully. I'll see you in the next video with 10 more questions. Till then, study well. Thank you.